Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with the Speak Your Mind show, and we are honored tonight to have in our presence none other than the Honorable Mac Vanterpool, the Minister for Communication and Works. And he is here with us, and welcome, Mac.
Thank you, Richard. I got to get accustomed to calling you Richard. So. But you know, school is your Courtney.
Yeah, the same person.
Thank you very much.
And we're happy to have you on the show. This is the People's Show, and we're here to dialogue with the people, and having you here with us tonight would improve things tremendously, because I'm sure persons out there may have burning issues they may want to ask you, or things that they might need clarification on, and I'm sure you will be able to do just that. You could start by giving a little introduction of yourself, talk to your
well, I think most people know who I am, so I just want to say good night to everyone. I'm very happy to be here. You guys always do a great job of the show. Like I always say to everyone, we should have an open public forum on matters, and you guys do a good job of that. You and the rest of the talk show group that I support very highly in what you do. People must have opinions, and we must be able to express them freely. And I always look forward to that and listening when I can. So I'm grateful that I'm here with you guys. To answer some questions, like I said earlier, I'm open on any question about my ministry and what's happening within the government along the lines of my responsibility, and particularly tonight on the issue of the cruise ship development. So, but persons may feel free to call and ask me questions or give comments or suggestions on any other areas of my ministry.
Okay. Sam, we might start out then with the minister, and could give us like a little quick overview of the project.
Sure. We are very pleased to be able to, in this time of our economic development, try to move our cruise ship development to a different level. We have been in talks with the various cruise ship owners. We've been many talks with the local taxi associations and other interested parties in this matter. We have looked at what the previous administrations were doing and appreciate that they were trying to move it forward in certain directions. And we picked up from there and decided to move it at a level that is necessary for us to stay in the game, as we say, and be competitive with other countries in the cruise ship industry. We are aware and we are very cautious to ensure that we have the right mix of our tourism products. The cruise ship business is not the only business we're in. We're in the charter boat industry, which is a very important industry to us. We are in the hotel and inns industry, that we want to make sure that they're also very well supported, and that the right mix and right balance can be had at all times. So this project that we're embarking on is to ensure that we can become a good competitors in the market. We arrived at a point where we are beginning to lose a very large market share of the cruise ship business if we don't take some very quick and aggressive steps, and this is the basis on which we're doing this. We want to do to make sure it blends with the rest of the Rotown development, and it adds to Rotown in terms of commerce, in terms of aesthetics, in terms of people's safety and pedestrians being able to maneuver through Rotown without any difficulty, and therefore we're putting all this into perspective. It is the first phase of the development that we're trying to do, and we are anxious to make it happen. We are working initially on the extension of the cruise pier, widening and lengthening and strengthening, and then we're going to focus later this year and early next year on the development of the 4 acres of land in terms of what we call Tortola Port Pier for the tourists, but it will be open 24/7 to the rest of the public. So this is the main thrust of the project. We presented it a couple of weeks ago to the public. It was aired several times on the radio, so I'm here tonight to answer any questions, clear up any misunderstandings, and see where we go from here. I was listening to another talk show tonight, and there were a lot of misconceptions, and people must be heard, and I want to make sure that I can clear up some of the misconceptions that might be there. I don't believe that I believe that we should all have an opinion. We may disagree with certain things, we may disagree with the entire project, and that is only fair from our point of view as having an opinion, and we should voice those opinions. And that is why we put it out to the public at the point that we did, to get this kind of discussion going. And I'm very pleased to see that it has, if it wasn't discussed as it's being discussed now, I would have been very disturbed. So I'm glad that it's being discussed, various views and opinions. We are taking note of them. We have persons listening to take the notes and opinions that are coming out, and then we can begin to see where we go from there in terms of finalizing the project.
All right, let me just say, Minister, again, welcome.
Thank you.
Obviously, there's a lot of questions. People are very concerned about the length of time the financing is being taking place, the amount of shops that are actually available to BVI lenders at a reasonable rate. So just to give us a background on the actual financing, a lot of people feel as if BVI lenders were not really initially involved in maybe partnering with this development. Is that the case?
It's very clear from what we've put out. We did not go looking for a loan. There was a loan offered once before by Disney Group for, I think in the past memorandum that was by past administration, for $12 million to help to extend the dock. We decided and felt that could not work at this time when we have difficulty in raising loans as a government, particularly from the point of view of the British government wanting to ensure that guaranteeing loans at this time with the worldwide recession and so on, they were a bit uncomfortable in terms of what was happening and in terms of how our finances here were being managed and operating. Whether we could raise the money locally or not is a good question. I would not dispute that. However, we felt that in the circumstances that we're in, if we were able to get an investor or investors to invest their funds without us having any liability with respect to it, we felt it was the right position right now. What we are ensuring that we are getting is that we are getting a return on the investment ourselves as a port authority, to ensure that they can be stable over the next 15 years, where the income that we will get from this development will be more than what they had been getting before, and especially from the point of view of a secured return or income over the next 15 years, that we can take that income that the port will receive and develop the other ports. Western, we want to tackle Rotown Jetty, we want to tackle the main cargo port, we want to tackle Virgin Gorda in terms of separating the cargo from the passenger port. We want to look at Just Van Dyke in terms of their port and Antigua. So those are the kinds of things we want to ensure that we can do over the next 15 years. And this project ensures that we have the guaranteed income to be able to do that over the next 15 years. So we're very, very excited about it in terms of what's going to happen from that point of view.
So for the initial investment is with Norwegian Cruise Line and Disney Cruise Line, 15 years.
Norwegian Cruise Lines and Disney Cruise Lines are not investing any money. They have approached investors who are investing the money, and they are going to guarantee to the partners, meaning the Port Authority and this group who are going to be partnering, which is basically the government and this group. They are going to guarantee to them a certain number of passengers, hence a certain amount of income on an annual basis, so that these people can make their investment and get a return on it over the next number of years. So this is what the deal is about. The government doesn't have to guarantee the funds. The British government doesn't have to guarantee the funds, and the land that we have there that we're leasing for 48 years will be a joint venture lease with the Port Authority and this group leasing the land, so that there will be a 50-50 partnership with this group to lease the land over the next 48 years.
So the two cruise liners are guaranteeing passengers' arrival to the territory, which will guarantee the repayment of the loan to the investor.
Yes, and this group have negotiated on our behalf with those two cruise liners, and it will be the same rate for the other cruise liners, an increased passenger tax, which would not have been likely if we weren't able to do this development in the way that we're doing it. So they have guaranteed that, and we're also in talks with other cruise liners, Sam, so that you will know. I have been meeting with all of the cruise lines because we want to ensure that they're coming also. There's possibility that one other group may come in with a guarantee over the next number of years. I'm meeting with them and in discussions with them.
Well, that's the question right there. Many folks have asked that. Okay, we have 2 cruise liners that are guaranteeing X, Y amount of business. Let's say it's a 6 months or 8 months. We're hoping it's a 10 month. But what happened in between? Who's guaranteeing that the other folks might come? What's going to stop them from leaving and just say, I don't want to be a part of it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll tell you, Sam, that my phones are ringing off the hook every day by other cruise liners because there's a little competition that has been established here because of what has happened. They all want to be in. They all want to come. They all want to make sure that they can berth. Because with the new development that's happening, they believe that the demand by the cruise passengers will be great for the Virgin Islands over the next number of years. It's going to be a port that is going to be very attractive based on what we're going to be doing with the historical sites, with the cultural activities, with the development on the dock, and therefore the other groups are very anxious to be able to come, and we are in very serious negotiations with them as we go along. So the new development is creating some serious competition, and we're able to capitalize on that and ensure that over the next 15 years minimum that we're going to have a very steady growth in terms of cruise passengers coming in. Obviously, like I said earlier, we're going to balance it. We don't want an overgrowth, but we have a good steady growth that we're expecting.
So the agreement, are we looking at a 12-month season, a 10-month season? I mean, what is the guarantee right now based on what we're looking at?
Based on what we're working with, Sam, we know that Norwegian Cruise Lines, who are going to be the biggest guarantor number for the
250,000.
They want to be able to come 12 months a year, so they're looking at an entire year. And Disney also, in their development in terms of the new ships that they're looking at, want to come on a regular basis. We don't have we have a sort of 24. I think it's 24 visits per year as a guarantee, but they are looking at how they're going to do it, and then they will take it from there.
Seems like we're getting some calls.
Yeah. Minister, someone said to me that, in the past we've had companies such as Carib Invest try to partner with local partners. I mean, you get that a lot. Let's get to the call real quick.
Yeah, good evening. You've reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good evening.
I have a situation that is going on in the BVI that I don't understand.
Okay.
I was wondering, like, when you are not from the BVI, if we all still have the same rights, right? I have a...
Turn your TV down just a little bit.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. I have a sister and her boyfriend who was living here. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, my dear.
And they were working for this man named Bobby who owned BVI Spring, right? Mm-hmm. However, my sister boyfriend had like they did a business thing together, right? For some reason, some money went missing on top of it. However, it came from Bobby, right? Then all of a sudden, Bobby wanted to get rid of them, right? He went so far out with the police by the guy's house, claiming that the guy steal a lot of stuff, right? When the police came, they didn't find nothing. They went with the person, with the guy laptop and stuff like that. They brought it back. And then all of a sudden now, he probably had some contact in immigration. Immigration will call him and let him know that he needs to come in to get time, right? Which he has time until up to September. When he went there, the call in immigration will take his take his passport. Then because of something saying about how he overstayed for like 2 months. So what I'm saying, if he overstayed for 2 months, right? How it is the same how he can find police to go by the guy's house. It's the same how he can find him to give him the release letter. So now all of a sudden the man has to force to go home, right? Well, he has to go court for something when he himself do, right? Just because the guy is not from here and he's from here. So I want to know what kind of justice is that? You know, I want to know how immigration people could just give up and not do what they want in immigration. And then when you go to the health department, they don't tell the place, they live in a situation because it's Bobby Hatch. Come on, what is that, you know? So I really want to know what the government will really do about this situation. Because right now the guy is packing up his problem, forced to go home for nothing when he has do need break the line of BVI.
Well, ma'am, what you're describing sounds like a live situation that involves a number of people. And, you know, it sounds unfortunate, but I don't know if I could comment on it because it seems like it's something that's happening right now.
Yes, it's something happening right now, but what is happening is not fair. Not because he's not from here, he gets treated and then immigration is doing what they want because they're working so badly. That's wrong. Not because he's not from here. He has human rights too.
Yeah, but immigration can they can do a lot of things that a lot of people don't know that they can do. They have a responsibility to do their job, which is to ensure that that the immigration policies of the country are upheld. Now that's something totally different.
But he haven't break the law in the BDI. He haven't break the immigration law. How can you tell someone, right, to come in and get signed and they have time in their passport just because you're trying to get rid of them because Bobby Hatch wanted to be done?
Well,
You know, so what kind of immigration law they're trying to come in against the man? He haven't break the law.
well, I know immigration and labor work close together. The one part speaks to the other on a regular basis, and they're interrelated. If you have a situation with employment, then it automatically becomes an immigration issue. Anyway, we've listened to you for a while, so we have another call on the line, so we're going to have to go to it. But I hope you get it resolved.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Good. I just want to remind the caller, tonight we have with us the Minister of Communication and Work. He's responsible for the cruise ship development. Folks, this is an opportunity for you to get in on the Minister and ask him any question you need to ask. So,
good evening.
Phone lines are open.
Good evening. You speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hi, good evening. I hope everybody is well.
Good evening to you.
I'm well, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I've been a long-time resident of the BVI and love it very much. And I have a fundamental question I'd like to address everybody about cruise ships. Can you imagine an industry coming into the BVI, for example, McDonald's, saying to the government, I want to bring McDonald's into the territory. I want you to pay for my restaurant. I'm not going to hire any BVI landers. I'm not going to buy any produce here in the BVI. And I may give you a teeny tiny share of the percentage of the profits that I make. Can you imagine any government in the BVI accepting that as a business model that they would accept? Because to me, and not only as this fictitious restaurant, not only am I in competition with the rest of the world, but I'm also taking food out of the people for the BVI who have restaurants, who have other businesses here. How does everybody feel? Because that to me is what the cruise ship businesses are doing. They are milking us, they are taking their money away from the BVI and leaving us with the crumbs.
Well, thank you. We'll leave that to the minister to address.
Thank you, Carla. It's a good point of view, but I will give you my point of view on it because of some of the facts that I know. The cruise ship industry, wherever it goes all over the world, provides a very strong basis to help the local economy and help people to earn an income from very basic things such as taxi operators earning a guaranteed and steady income to shops and owners in the territory earning an income and from the point of view of the head tax that is charged helps ports and so on to maintain their ports and develop them. So all over the world, the cruise ship industry helps in that case. In our case, we have done the economic studies, we have done all the various things that we believe will help. One simple thing, for example, is that if you're going to attract, say, just using a round number, 500,000 passengers here, or 600,000 passengers here a year, you're looking at very easily somewhere around $5 million of head tax income that will accrue to the government based on our present rates that we expect to get. That's a $5 million that is going to be a guaranteed income to the Port Authority over the next number of years that they can then plan what they're going to do with it and so on in development. But not only that, you can raise funds from that to look at how you can send your kids to school, how you can plan your education, how you can plan the rest of your infrastructure in the territory, and so on. These are all parts of the economic development that one can gain from it. The other thing is that it is and we have studied reports. St. Thomas, for example, you have a roughly $200 per passenger that is spent, $197, I think. St. Kitts just did the airport development over the last couple of years, and they have now begun to receive an average per passenger of close to $100 when they arrive. Now, if you take that $100 that each passenger may leave in the territory in terms of expenditure and multiply it, you're looking at somewhere between $60 and $75 million a year that is being left in the economy. So these are the kinds of things that I'm saying that we can gain if we attract a steady cruise ship tourist arrival. The analogy that you made is probably a good one if you look at it on the surface, but if you dig deeper and understand and study what cruise ships do for territories, then I think you might think a little differently, hopefully.
With the greatest respect, the other thing that happens with the cruise ship passengers, yes, they may leave $100 here, but for every cruise ship passenger that hits King Garden Bay, you're upsetting and distressing your long-term people who have been coming here for years and years. They are the core of your business. Now, you're saying that the money that comes to the taxi drivers is a benefit. The cruise ship industry in general is extremely aggressive. They do not, it's the tail wagging the dog. They make the decisions about where they go. Now, yes, you're right that the taxi drivers will make some money, but the car rental companies will lose money because the guests that would have come to stay with us will not come to stay. The infrastructure that has to be put in place for cruise ship passengers is so disproportionate to the infrastructure that has to be put in place for overnight visitors. Anything you do for an overnight visitor is for every single resident of the BVI, without exception. What you do for the overnight visitor in terms of health care, in terms of cleanliness, in terms of roads, etc., benefits everybody that lives here. As soon as you bring cruise ship passengers in, you are upsetting that balance.
Carla, are you suggesting that we shouldn't have any cruise ship passengers?
No, I'm suggesting that the cruise ship passengers should be put to the limit was set in the proposal done in 1994. I myself personally sat in that meeting at the Rupert Briarcliff Hall in 1994, and all those limits, which were 300,000 to 400,000 per year at the absolute maximum, they've all been ignored. None of the infrastructure was put in.
And are you suggesting that 16 years later we should be at the same limit?
Absolutely. Do you think that the structures that are in place now have improved to the extent that you can justify having excess people here?
Yeah, Paula, I do agree with you and understand your position that we should create a better infrastructure to handle a number of visitors, and we shouldn't just have King Garden Bay as a place where they all go to, and we are looking at all those aspects of it. So you're totally right. We can't just we have to have a right balance with, and we do respect and in fact we treasure very highly the other parts of our tourism product, especially our visitors who come, who sail the waters on the charter boats and who stay in hotels and so on. But we are trying to find the right mix, and maybe we don't have it, and maybe we won't have it, what we're trying to do. But we certainly believe that our economy needs that boost, and we take into consideration your view and would use your view in terms of what we're doing going forward and planning. But we certainly, 18 years later from 1994 to now, cannot remain at the same position that we were if we're going to develop as a territory. But we do have to consider a lot of the views that you made in terms of balance, and that is important. But we certainly we certainly don't want to remain stagnant.
No, I appreciate that, and you know, obviously something that's good for the whole territory is good for the whole territory. But you know, again, the financial things. You know, as soon as you have an overnight visitor here, they have to buy groceries. They have to eat somewhere. If they're not cooking for themselves, then they have to, you know, eat in a restaurant. So groceries have to be bought. People have to be employed to either stock the shelves with the groceries or to make the restaurants the food there.
Yeah.
You know, the trickle down of the overnight visitor is infinitely greater than the trickle down for the cruise ship visitor.
We agree. I agree with you, caller. I agree with you on that, but it doesn't mean that the cruise ship visitor doesn't have an effect on us. How would you suggest that we raise $5 million, for example, to fix our ports and so on?
Well, I know that there have been plenty of studies. Again, I've been in meetings where almost all passengers would be, however they come or leave the territory, would be willing to pay some kind of greening fee or greening duty. I've heard figures as low as $5 and up to $20 per person. This is a voluntary thing that people are prepared to pay, and if you tell them that it's going into the greening of the country, if it's going into be it national park support or be it development in a green way of other resorts or resources, people, our overnight visitors are prepared to pay those amounts. $20 on top of their departure tax. These are voluntary contributions that they are prepared to make.
But Carlo, would you agree that we would have some economists and finance people who will run the numbers, who will suggest that you do need that kind of tax, yes, to help to protect your environment and so on, but who also run the numbers to say that you do have to raise money to be able to develop your ports, and that is not enough to do that.
The problem that always seems to me to be is that there's never an appreciation of the negative influences of the cruise ship visitor. People always say they bring this, they bring that, etc., but they don't count the cost of the people who are not coming back, the people who do not wish to stay in the territory any longer. What about those impacts? What about, you know, for every $1 that comes in, you're throwing $100 away? Does that make sense?
Carla, we appreciate the call. Thank you so much for your point of views.
I do appreciate her view, though. We will consider some of what you said, yeah.
Yeah, but I also want to just add to that caller, I hope she's listening, is that it's a misconception that cruise ship passengers don't leave any money. As a matter of fact, cruise ship, if you take it as a whole, passengers stimulate the entire economy much greater than anyone that's staying in any villa. Yes, the person that's staying in a villa leaves more money in the end, that one person, but it doesn't stimulate the entire economy the way a cruise ship passengers does. And you also have to take into account that a large number of percentage of people who used to go to overnight, who used to stay overnight in destination, are actually taking cruises because they want to explore more for a lesser cost. It's not to say that they hate the territories or they hate the destination because it's overcrowded. It's just that a lot more people find more value in taking a cruise. So there's different cruise ships out there. This cruise ship costs a lot of money to get on, and some of the same folks that you're talking about take those cruises. So we do appreciate your point of view. I think that like the minister said, there are people who are watching, who are taking note, and I mean, those comments, we expect those comments. I am in favor of cruise ship. I do understand that we do have to have some control and a proper disbursement system, so the Cane Garden is not overcrowded, Virgin Gorda, the Bats is not overcrowded, and we can have a better cruise ship season. So thank you so much for the call.
No, you're very welcome. Take care. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very
Minister, just real quick, again, I just want to talk about, I mean, this is something that's burning a lot of local investors. Again, there was a company, Carib Invest, along with one of the local partners who had put forward a proposal. Have you guys had a chance to even look at that and maybe consider,
yeah.
and then even consider the fact that you can offer them some of the same deals that the cruise ship is guaranteeing their investor. Maybe we can guarantee that same deal to our investor.
Hold that thought, Sam. Let's go to the phone. Yeah, good evening. You're free to speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm one of the taxi drivers.
Okay.
Already commenting on the call. First of all, I would like the tourist board to give a story of how many visitors come here who came here for the first time and couldn't take it. And they come and stay in the hotels and villas. They also chat after some of the chat and go. After the rent a car, a lot of passengers from the cruise ship, they rent cars here. So
Caller, that's a point I was thinking about as well.
Negative.
Yeah.
I was to that meeting in 1974 when we were positioning at the go in Old Town.
1994.
Yes, when 1974, rather, 74, whenever it was, when we had the big meeting in Cultural Center.
94, yeah.
94.
Yes, okay. And I'm saying that too many negative call about the cruise ship industry because they do not have a contract to move the passengers. If people had the contract to move the people, it would be all in well. But I would agree that that some more beaches need opening so that they don't overload Trinidad Bay.
Yes.
That was one of my concerns for a long time, and I hope that we get that done so that we spread the tourists all out so they don't one place overloaded.
Well, the plan, Carl, if you look at the plan, it does call for a lot of disbursement. We're looking at ferries, we're looking at speedboat to move people to different islands. So that was actually one of the questions we're going to pose to the minister to get a more definitive answer as to what exactly are they going to be able to do for the outer islands. Is there any marketing plan specifically say for Antigua or Jocelyn Dyke, because we know a lot of people in Antigua are saying, what about me? Jocelyn Dyke is out. We know Jocelyn Dyke get a lot of tourists on their own. But what are we doing? Is there any money appropriated for development in that sort? Or you put money aside to help some of the local guys develop their boat skills and so forth?
This is a big part of planning. We do want to. You may see on the development that we have an area we're creating for the ferry boats to leave from to take passengers out to other islands, because we do want to support the other islands in the project. We obviously don't want to overcrowd areas, as the caller was making that clear. So we're looking at a number of situations there. For example, right away to alleviate the situation in King Garden Bay, we're developing Brandywine Bay. There's a major plan for developing Brandywine Bay into a more of a sports type beach area development that we're looking at. And we're looking at other areas. We want to be able to take passengers right away from the cruise pier all the way to Antigua, Jocelyn Dyke, Virgin Gorda, and so on. So, and people tend to be fearful that places are going to get overcrowded, but we're deliberately avoiding that to make sure that doesn't happen. But I think what people must understand is that taxi drivers, for example, if you have a taxi driver who is able to earn a $50,000 a year income from this industry, let's use a number, he's able to support a family of, say, 6 out of his income. Isn't this important? Is the question I always ask people. When you have, say, 300 taxi drivers over a year who may be able to earn that kind of income to be able to help to support his family, we as a government have to look out for all aspects of the industry and for all of our residents to ensure that they have a mix in terms of opportunity to receive income. And that's a very important thing from our point of view. We consider taxi drivers and the taxi industry a very, very crucial industry to the support of our families, and we are not going to make bones about it. We are not going to overcrowd an area, but the cruise ship industry does benefit the taxi drivers, and they are an important constituency as far as we are concerned.
And this is another question for the minister. Is there going to be another cruise ship pier? Because it seems to me like in that area could hold another pier, so at least you could boat full cruise ships.
We believe that at this point we are satisfied to develop one pier that holds the new size ships and accommodate those ships at a time. So we are satisfied with that right now. 15, 20, 25, 30 years from now, I don't know what will be the position as we develop, but I believe that we are planning for two ships to be docking at the pier at this point.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for raising that issue that that the cruise ship people turn to overnight people after they've come and visit. I'm glad you raised that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, Minister, again, local investors, obviously we had some other offers on the table. People were asking, couldn't the same deal be offered to a local investor? And then also, additionally, you mentioned taxi 5 times now.
Let me answer one question at a time. So I want to get to the question you asked for you.
Yeah. Good evening. You're speaking mind. Go right ahead, please. Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Charles.
All right, go right ahead.
Yes, I saw the proposed pier park, which is awesome.
Okay.
But one question, in reference to the guys with the car rentals and the scooter rentals, what would happen to those guys that are previously there right now, occupying a certain space? I see nothing in reference to those guys. Quick question.
A good question, caller, and I'll let you know that what we want to do is accommodate and incorporate all of those types of businesses in the operation that we are doing there. And the scooter rental is a big part of this. A lot of tourists like to use scooters to get around. We want to make sure that the scooter rental business is involved in there, and the car rental business is another part that some people want to go and rent their own cars and go out. So we want to accommodate all that within the project. So they're going to be accommodated. I'm not saying they're going to be right there where they are now, because we want to improve the area, but we're going to have a space available for them to operate. So I would say that we would be approaching those persons who are operating the present scooter rentals and car rentals and accommodate them in the project. That's a very clear picture for us.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks for raising that issue.
Sam, I'll comment quickly. We had about 4 proposals on the table when we looked at this, and we began negotiations. We selected out of the 4 this particular proposal to begin negotiations. If we weren't comfortable with what we were seeing, we were going to go to the next person that we were considering. I'm not going to go into all of the aspects of the various proposals that we had, but this to us seemed to be the best proposal from our point of view in terms of a number of things, but particularly from the point of view that this group was willing to invest an additional $20 to $25 million in not just the cruise ship dock itself development. They were prepared to invest this in the rest of the road town and the outside
city center,
the outside historical sites and so on to make it a complete product. So that was one of the reasons we went to it, but not the only reason, but it was one of the reasons. And I would say that there are a number of considerations, and there were pros and cons with the other proposals, but we decided to go with this one and start negotiating.
Okay. Good evening. You're speaking mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good evening. You are doing it.
We're doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing excellent.
Okay.
I just want to commend Vanterpool for the move, for looking into the future. I think it's an excellent idea. But I think for the people of the island, I always thinking and thought of it, like they thought of it, but that was another thing, bring out a lot more business for the outer islands too. Because right now, I myself is thinking about having a powerboat service.
Exactly.
After St. Lucia.
Thank you.
You know, at the trip and yeah, it's all right. So I think we need something like small, little operating, but they have a lot of opportunities out there for everybody else.
Carla, you're so correct. We don't only have islands; we have a lot of water, and we have to consider the land and the sea as part of the territory.
Right. We always have thought of but I could bring so much other things for everybody else. So, Honorable, we put you there.
What I'll tell you, caller, is that we're about to have what we call a symposium, or what we call an expo in the next 90 days or so, to expose our BV Islanders as to what are all of the opportunities that we believe this project can create, and how we can become a part of it, and how we can prepare people to get involved in the project. We're commissioning a group to carry out this, to invite persons to come to this and look at all of the aspects, make their views, give their comments. We're going to tell them how they can get involved in the project, both on the direct manner inside of the port, inside of the pay park arrangement, and how you can get involved in the project, like you said, from power boats, from the ferry boats side of it, from as far down as having within the village, having a cart to sell coconut water and so on, which we want to encourage in the park. And so we're going to expose all of that to everyone to see what kind of shops you might be able to develop, how you can probably build your shops, how we can help you to get it financed, how we can do all those things. We're preparing that, and within the next 90 days or so, I don't know, there's a group that we're appointing to conduct that exposition to our locals, to say how you can become an integral part of this development and how all locals can benefit from it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much. I continue doing well. I know you have to be very, and I'm not opposed, but so thanks for the move. If everybody had been doing it, it would have been a problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you
All
for
right,
calling.
thank you for calling.
Thanks for calling. Yeah, guys, we're having so much fun, but you know when you're having fun, how it is when you have to pay bills, right? So we have to take a break for the people that make the show possible. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back.